The flight that should never have returned. I be always thought that there are stories that shouldn't be told because as soon as someone says something loud, it looks like they wake up. In a town in the middle of the mountains, where most of the time there was always fog in the morning, and the old stories are told like they were real, there was a legend that everybody avoided. Nobody wanted to talk about. Some people will talk about it in a low voice. Kids will talk about it, and adults pretended not to believe in it, and in the night they will try not to think about it. It was the story about the missing flight, the flight 914. In the story, they will talk about a lot of years ago a plane will take off in the middle of a storm and never arrived. They never found the plane survivors. It just disappeared. It just got lost in a place where it shouldn't exist, and sometimes it will return. Obviously, for a group of the new graduate teenagers, it sounded more exciting. It was summer when Diego and his friends finished high school. They had weeks talking about doing something big to celebrate. They didn't want a party, not even photos. They wanted an adventure that will remember forever, something that will make history. The impulse selfie would be the first one in say yes to anything. Mateo was. Bruno was the most bravest and the most reckless. Sofia and abril were inseparables. Emilio recorded everything because his dream was to make movies in the future, and even though they were all different, together they felt capable of anything. One afternoon, with the world talking at Diego's house, Bruno talked about the old and abandoned airport. That was all it looked. They had a idyllic way. They wanted to explore a forbidden place at night, like a goodbye before each of them went their separate ways. No one cared about the warnings. Diego's mother tried to stop it, just like a series. It felt like the fear was real. She told them that the place had a scary story, but the teenagers thought it was true and it was just exaggerations. They didn't listen. They went out into the night. The road to the airport would get darker and darker every time they would move forward. The road was almost empty. There was trees leaning over the road. They could even feel the air. They got to the airport when the night arrived. The airport seemed dead. The control tower looked like a ring. The runway cracked. There was no lights. Everything was completely covered, but sometimes difficult to explain. It was a strange feeling, like the airport was empty, like it looked like. You could listen to the echo of the steps. You could to the broken glasses, everything they step, the decks that were there will covered of dust. Baggage Abandoned all the flyers. It feels like the time stopped. While they were exploring, Emiliano was recording the will make jokes so they could take the tension away. But slowly everyone stopped laughing. The place imposed. They seemed to listen sometime. Mateo found a control room with old radios, did monitors, rusty switches. He moved one of the switches just playing and it happened. The radio was on alone. A burst of static filled the room. Everybody was in shock. Then a distorted voice. Far, we request permissions to land. The silence was heavy. Nobody was breathing. Bruno tried to say that it was just a coincidence, but before finishing the sentences, the voice in the radio was back. Flying 914. Abril walked back. Sophie started to shake. Then Emilio pointed the window. The cold lights hitting in the runway. It was possible, but a plane was arriving in the fog. The worst was the plane was arriving without any sound. The plane looked like it was floating. The plane stopped in front of them. Nobody knew if they wanted to run and see. The plane's door opened slowly and it kept open. Waiting. Bruno walked first, like he had hypnotized. Everyone else went behind him. The curiosity was more than the fear. They got inside the plane and it was intact like stop in the middle of time. Seats organized like flyers, foods, but there was no passengers, even though they felt percentage of people nobody would say anything. Invisible looked like if somebody would look at them. Mateo found notebook. It was a diary. It had yellow page. The last page said, "We are not alone beneath the clouds." Naris kept reading. Then they heard some heavy, slow steps. They were coming from the ends of the plane, and the last row there was a figure sitting down. It was movie and it was dark, like a shape of a woman. The door didn't let them move for a second. The fear made them run, but Bruno didn't run. He disappeared, and only left his jacket. And from the control tower, the radio went on. "We are missing passenger. They escaped." But when they looked back, the plane was not there. The runway was empty, like nothing never happened. After that, everything changed. Mateo would see shadows, Sophie would listen to voices, Abril would draw the same black plane. Emiliano found face in the windows of the plane on a video that he recorded. Then after that, they started to disappear, one by one. First, Emiliano, Abril, Mateo, and then Sophie. Everybody seemed to be called by something. They just left weird notes like, I hear motors. I need to return. Diego started to say that the plane would fly around his house in the night. Nobody believed him. Until one night they heard motors. They saw lights between the clouds and an old radio turned on by itself and said, "Last call." Days later, Diego disappeared. He used He just left a ticket, like 914. After that, there is a legend that says that the plane still flies around the night in the storms, not for a landing, just so they can pick up more passengers. And they say that if someday you get a ticket without explications, it's because you are ready. Because the flight never had to return, it always returns for the people they miss it. The year passed that they saw a plane without lights in the middle of the storm. People received tickets with a unknown center, always with the same number 914 and a warning. Last call to board. We over is in the plane never did. But they don't return either. They are just trapped in the dark. And if on any night you hear a radio off, asking for permission for landing, do not respond because maybe the flight that wasn't supposed to return is looking for you. Lost.